What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Dave Show. So, today we're going to be doing a video that's kind of a follow-up to my most popular video, which was a budget emergency survival bag for beginners. And the premise of that video, it's my most popular video by far. I mean, I had 31 subscribers, I think, when I made that video, and now I'm up to 384, I think. And a lot of them came from that video. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody that watched that, enjoyed it, and decided to subscribe and follow along for more content. So like I said, today this is an expansion on that video. And this is going to be kind of more for somebody who, like I said, that was more just throwing stuff that's kind of laying around your house in a bag on the cheap. And it's a good starting point, right? So today what we're going to go over is we are going to talk about, kind of expand upon that a little bit, and also some kind of higher price tag items that I believe are worth spending the money on, especially if you're somebody that's interested in kind of getting out there and refining your skills and looking to grow and train yourself on some of this stuff. So we're going to throw out some different options and some different categories here. It's still going to be based on the 5 C's of survival. The 5 C's of survival, if you don't remember from the first video, are a cutting tool, container, combustion, cordage, and cover. So we're going to kind of touch on those again briefly. If you want an explanation of that stuff, I would send you back to the first video and check that out. But anyways, I'm not going to ramble for too long. If you like this stuff, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend. You know, the channel's growing. That's great. The goal is to keep growing and keep bringing value to you guys through these videos. And I do have plans to improve my kind of recording equipment and stuff like that so we can get out of the basement, get outside, start showing you guys some stuff. Anyways, we'll get right into it. So in the first video, I showed you just a cheap backpack I had laying around my basement. I decided to throw 2 other options out there for somebody that wants something that's of a little higher quality, maybe of a bigger size or not. I'm going to give you the first option now. That's going to be something like this here. This is called the Eberly Stock Bandit. It's a pretty small pack, day pack. I use this for turkey hunting and a range bag primarily. And this is around that $150 price point. But these things hold up great and they last. So definitely would recommend the Eberly Stock Bandit if, like, you know, it's pretty small. Like I said, you can't fit like a laptop in it. It's not wide enough, but it does have good internal organization. It's got this piece here that you can attach stuff to the outside of your pack with. Great option. If you're looking for something that's a little bigger, relatively in the same price range, I'd recommend going with something like this. So this is the REI Trail 40. I've done a decent amount of hiking and backpacking in this bag. It's pretty simple, full clamshell design here. It's got side pockets. It's got a mesh pocket in here. You got another kind of just dump pocket in the top. And it's pretty cool too. It's got this piece here. This opens up and you can really stuff stuff down in here. It comes with a rain fly in the bottom too. So these run about, I want to say, in that $100 to $150 price point. I bought this a long time ago. I don't use it anymore. But this would be my recommendation for somebody that's looking for a good backpack that they can kind of build their skills with. And the reason I'd almost recommend this over a smaller bag like the Bandit for an emergency survival type of bag is because you're going to still have room in that bag even after we throw all the items that we're going to talk about today in there. You'll still have room to add more stuff, whether that be additional clothing, food, you name it. You find stuff while you're out and about, you want to keep it, throw it in the bag. Moving into the first C from their cutting tool. So in the first video, we discussed this. More knife Garberg, great option still. Like I said, these run like 60 to 80 bucks on Amazon, but I wanted to kind of give you guys some other options too. This is a good do-it-all type of option, and I would probably still recommend this the most out of all the stuff I'm about to show you, but what I am suggesting is that you might want to spend a little extra money in this category to supplement this, or I'll kind of show you guys some other stuff too. So the first thing I would recommend supplementing it with would be some sort of multi-tool. This is a Gerber, kind of cheap, but again, I'm not going to throw my Leathermans out here for you guys because this is still more of a budget video, but this is a great multi-tool, and it will really expand your capabilities. And then it's also still got like regular knife blades and stuff like that if you needed to do any type of fine cutting tasks with it. So paired together, these two are a great option. Also, you can look into some other options too, like a folding saw. Now, this is a cheap folding saw that I don't really use, and it's a Coleman brand. The Silky folding saws are the way to go, but they are more expensive. I don't have one. I don't typically use folding saws much, but the problem with these cheapos, I don't know if I can demonstrate it. The problem with these cheapo saws, these folding saws, is when you're going to saw stuff, it's just this kind of cheap plastic handle, see, made in China, you get flex here big time when you're trying to saw stuff with it, and it's pretty counterproductive. So I would not recommend a cheap folding saw. I would recommend spending your money on a Silky or don't bother. Now again, you could combine that with your multi-tool. You could combine that with a fixed blade knife as well. And that's not a bad way to go, but like I said, you really don't want to cheap out on these. Some other options would be something like this for processing wood instead of a saw. This is it's a K-Bar Becker BK9. And this thing's pretty rock solid, man. It's got a really thick blade. It's full tang. It's got this finish on it here, which as you can see, stuff sticks to the finish, and then it does kind of start to wear off as you use it as well. But it holds an edge really great. This is a great chopping tool. And this is more of a setup that I would recommend pairing with a multi-tool. So when you buy these, I think they're around $100, maybe slightly more. Comes with this sheath that's got a little pocket on the front that you could throw stuff in as well. But this is extra weight too, so keep that in mind. But this is a great woods knife. It's a little big in my opinion for a do-it-all knife. That's kind of what the Mora's roll would be. But if you wanted to pair this with a multi-tool, let's say, this is going to take care of all of your camp processing things for wood and that kind of stuff. And then you can use your multi-tool for any small tasks, like if you had to kind of carve something small or process small game, things like that. Another great option, and this is a slightly cheaper price point, you could look into something like a tomahawk. Again, paired with multi-tool or with your standard fixed blade and multi-tool. This is an SOG. I can't remember the exact name for it, but it's just a tomahawk. Got a cutting edge here. You got a point on the end here, and then it's actually got this kind of knurled space on both sides that you could use it to hammer things with as well. Plastic handle. Plastic handle is pretty durable, but I have thrown this. I used to throw this tomahawk a lot for fun, and it will chip. Excuse me. It'll kind of chip and get beat up on the plastic handle if it hits off rocks or anything, bounces off of a tree the wrong way. So it's got a little bit of battle scars on it, but this thing's great. It holds an edge well. It's really easy to sharpen again. And these are only like, I want to say probably like 50 to 60 bucks. So it's a great option as well. And these things are really good for processing wood. I'd say almost better than something like this, but that's my personal opinion. It does come with this belt sheath as well. So that's going to cover some different aspects of cutting tools for you guys. Man, this might be a long video. I hope it doesn't go too long, but anyways, we'll kind of start to pick up speed here, I guess. So those are your cutting tool options. Next, we can move into, let's move into container. So I had this cheap knockoff Nalgene laying around my house, still a great option. But if you're looking to spend a little more money to kind of get something that has more versatility, you could go with something like this. This is a 40-ounce clean canteen stainless bottle. And what's nice about these is that they hold 40 ounces of water, which I believe is 1/3 of a gallon. Don't quote me on that. But since it's stainless, you can put it on a flame and boil water in it. So obviously, that's going to be one of your main ways to purify water. And I think these are like $30 on Amazon. But I love this thing. I've had it for a while. They make a smaller version of it too. I just don't have it down here with me, but that's an option too. But these clean canteens are great. And like I said, you can boil water in them and do all that kind of stuff as well. Another cheaper option, if you're budget minded, is something like this. This is a 2-quart surplus USGI canteen. So these are like $5 or $6 online or at any surplus store. And it's going to hold 2 quarts of water for you. And it's a shape that's easily packable in a bag. So depending on how much water you want to carry or what your options are, I mean, this is a cheap way to kind of plus up the water you're carrying. I know in the REI backpack that I showed, it had a 2-liter bladder or a 3-liter bladder in it. I'm not a huge fan of those. I do use them sometimes, but they get kind of gross and they're hard to clean. And also on top of that, they can break easily. Like if you were to drop your bag down on a rock or something, there's a potential you're going to bust open that water bladder. So I also touched about the need for water filtration in my last video, touching on these Sawyer Minis. So another great kind of cheap option for you to throw in an emergency survival bag. This is empty. I'd recommend a full one. But what's cool about these smart water bottles, this is a 1-liter smart water bottle. So if you were to take the cap off here, your Sawyer Mini, it's going to thread right onto it. So now you don't have to stop to drink from a puddle or worry about purifying water. You could fill this thing up with whatever water that you found and take it with you. And then when you need to drink, you can just pop this Sawyer Mini on here and drink from it. So these are like $3 at the store. These are cheap. They're like $10 or $15 for a 2-pack at Walmart. But this is a great option. And honestly, if you were to combine this with your Sawyer Mini, with your stainless bottle, I'd say you got pretty much all your bases covered. You've got redundancy in terms of how you can purify your water, both through boiling and through filtration. And it's just a little extra money spent that goes a long way. So I'm trying to stay in the same theme as the other video. We've already covered cutting tool, container. I believe we talked about combustion next in the previous. So this is a little fire kit I threw together that I showcased. It's just got a Bic lighter, I believe actually 2 lighters in here, some matches, and then just some paper to catch a spark. Now, what you can also do is you could also fill another one of these up with something like dryer lint. That stuff takes a spark really well. But if you're looking to grow and expand your skills, it's actually not that easy to start fires in the woods, even with this stuff. But if you want to kind of challenge yourself a little more and look into something that's going to last a long time, you could look into something like a ferro rod like this. This is a really big one. I think this was like 30 or 40 bucks. They do sell cheaper ones on Amazon. This is a Uberlibin is the brand on these. But what's cool is it comes with the striker, makes sparks. And this thing, like I said, it's going to last you a very long time. Keep this in your pack in addition to that fire kit. Get out there and practice with this thing, man. I mean, it took me a long time to get good at using one of these, and I'll put a video together at some point. Like I said, once I get some better recording equipment, I'll put a video up making a fire with one of these. But again, this is just another few extra dollars you spend to supplement this kit and kind of bring it way to the next level. So moving on, we've covered cutting tool, container, combustion. Next thing on our list we'll just touch on again is cordage. So this is the same Walmart paracord that I talked about in my last video. It's okay, you know, for a budget purpose, it's okay. You could look into some better brands that'll kind of last longer. They won't stretch out as much over time, things of that nature. I don't have any in front of me, but another good option is bank line. I think number 36 bank line. There's a couple different sizes that you can use for bank line that'll work really well for cordage in terms of putting a shelter together and things like that. Another good option too, I'm not going to go digging around, but it's not quite cordage, but you could also just consider buying a roll of duct tape and throwing that in your bag, because duct tape is highly combustible, so that's a great source of ignition for fires. Also, you could kind of twist it together to make cordage, and you can do field repairs, things like that. Obviously, there's like 1,000,001 uses for duct tape. Something to consider. I did touch on cover a lot too. Again, that's the 5th C of the 5 Cs. In the last video, I touched on a larger tarp, as well as all the clothing that you're wearing, dress weather appropriate, season appropriate. Part of the reason, like, I'm suggesting a bigger bag, I would say that REI bag specifically, is so you can throw extra clothes in there if need be. But always look at the weather, pay attention to that stuff, and go from there. You know, I touched on space blankets and stuff like that too in the kit. But another thing that I didn't have when I shot that video that I have a couple of now are these. These are from a company called Helicon Techs. It's a U.S. military style poncho. And these are, I want to say, $35 on their website. So this is also a great option. You can wear it like a regular poncho. It's pretty durable nylon. The bag itself and the poncho are pretty much the same material, but these have grommets all along. I'm going to try and not totally unbag this, but they have grommets and stuff on them. Take my word for it, or if you have one, you know. But I'm just trying not to make a huge mess in my basement, or else I'd fully pull the thing out. But yeah, this is a great option. It's smaller than that tarp I showed you guys, and you can do a lot of stuff with this in terms of makeshift shelters, just wearing it as a poncho and covering all your gear and yourself with it. Things of that nature. If you're trying to kind of, some weird shit's going on, you want to kind of stay out of sight, you could set this thing up low and kind of crawl underneath it, kind of like you're in an observation post type of style thing too. I haven't really used these yet. Like I said, I just picked them up. It's something I've been wanting to get. I finally grabbed a couple. And if there's any issues over the course of me using them, I'll report back to you guys. But from everything I've seen, these are pretty rock solid. So that covers cover. Some other things that we touched on in the last video that kind of go above and beyond the 5 Cs, but I think are very important items to have in your kit. Like I said, I touched on things like flashlights. If you can only have one flashlight in your kit, I would recommend this, some sort of headlamp. This one right here is the Princeton Tech. Got a flip up red lens, 3 brightness settings, fully waterproof. These things are like super durable. I have a standalone video on this headlamp because that's how much I like it. And go check that out too if you haven't seen it. But like I said, some other options too. You can get like cheaper camping lanterns. This is a tactical light, but Streamlight makes these without the Picatinny rail mounts as well. These run on CR123s, very bright lights. These are a good way to go as well, or just any flashlight you have laying around your house. Like I said, this is kind of still a budget-minded thought process, but it's also ways to kind of spend a little more money in certain areas to, in my opinion, greatly improve your capabilities. I know in the last video too, I touched on first aid. So I said in the last video, kind of just recommended it, to your capability first aid kit. So this is a cheapo kit, mostly for boo-boos and stuff. I would highly encourage you guys to get medical training, especially like trauma medical training, stuff like that. And then the first thing I would pick up in addition to this cheapo kit is going to be a tourniquet. So I would recommend using a Cat Gen 7 tourniquet. Okay, don't buy them on Amazon. Buy them from North American Rescue, Refuge Medical, reputable dealers, because the knockoffs of these are shit. They break and they don't work. Something else to consider, if you go pick yourself up a nice tourniquet, I would recommend also picking up a trainer tourniquet. So these work the same exact way. The only difference is the color is blue, and that denotes that it's your training tourniquet. And as you can see, I've trained with this tourniquet a lot. It's been very beat up. It still works. But the nice thing is that in training with these out in the field, you're not going to ruin your good tourniquets. So these are $35 a piece. I'd recommend picking up at least one that you're going to carry everywhere and use if you need to in an emergency. And then I would also recommend picking up a trainer tourniquet as well. And that way you can practice your skills and not worry about the degradation of your important life-saving gear when you need it the most. If you want to go further than just tourniquets, this is maybe not the best budget-minded option, but I'm just kind of going with things that I have. This is called a bare minimum. It's from a company called Refuge Medical. Great company, all American made first aid gear. But these are expensive. This is going to run you about $230. But this is all hand stitched in Oklahoma. They also do training classes in person and online. I've taken them. They're amazing. This actually is still partial mud from Oklahoma on this thing. Because we were out in the thick of it, man. It was pouring rain. We were strapping tourniquets to ourselves, army crawling through the mud. Like, I don't know. If you're not into that, that's fine. But for me, it was like an amazing opportunity, an amazing class, and I met a ton of great people there as well. But the reason I would say if you're going to spend the money and get a really good quality first aid kit, I would go with this bare minimum because it has all your massive bleeding covered. It covers the entirety of the March algorithm, which if you don't know the March algorithm, it's massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, and then there's an E at the end, which stands for basically everything else. But the primary two are going to be massive bleeding, airway, I believe. Massive bleeding is like 90% of it. And you got less than like 2 minutes to stop a critical arterial bleed in the field. So tourniquets will cover any limbs or extremities, and then the rest of the stuff in this kit, it's going to cover, it's got chest seals, it's got quick clot, it's got regular compressed gauze for wound packing, for junctional areas, stuff like that. I do have a standalone video on first aid kits too, you guys can go check out. But if you're going to spend the money, buy once, cry once on a good American-made first aid kit, this right here, the bare minimum, is my recommendation. So one of the other things I talked about, sorry, I like have a ton of stuff just piled in front of me from showing you guys this stuff. But in my last video, I touched on how something like a cheap compass wouldn't be a bad addition to your kit. Now let me show you what the issue with these cheap compasses is. They're cheap, okay? So that may not be the best option for you. I mean, if you got nothing and you want to learn how to use a compass, sure, that may be a good place to start. Or you can spend more money. This is a Lensatic compass here. So I picked this one up a few years ago. It's by Brunton. It's been pretty solid, and you can buy these at I bought this at Cabela's or Bass Pro, one of the two. But this is a military style Lensatic compass. You can do a lot with these. Like I said, if we're talking land nav, I'm not really your guy. I am planning on taking a nice land nav course sometime this summer. But I do understand navigation. I've been boating and have my boating license and stuff my entire life, so I do understand how to use a compass for navigation. And I highly recommend that you kind of learn how to do that too. So, like I said, this Lensatic compass is a relatively affordable option that's not going to break the bank. If you're looking for something that's more this style, check out a brand called, and that pops back in. So, I mean, it still seems like it might work, but again, it's just a very cheap compass, you know, and that's kind of the name of the game when you buy some of this cheap survival gear. But to go along with your compass, what I would recommend is to get some paper maps of your area. Now, this is just a paper map of the United States. I'm just using it for an example. But these Rand McNally maps, they're not bad. It's not like a topo map or anything, but this is good to throw in your bag. Buy a map that's relevant to your area. Throw this in a Ziploc in case it gets wet. And at least now you have a compass and you got a map to try and at least figure out where you're going in an emergency. And I would also submit to you that if you take off during an emergency and don't know where you're going, that's a problem. So if we're talking emergency preparedness, a little preparation goes a long way. If you think that you would have to displace from your home, whether that be from natural disaster, man-made events, you name it, it would be a really good idea to figure out where you're going and also give the people that may already be there a heads up that you are going there, okay? I'm not going to really dive into that any further, but just some things to keep in mind in that type of scenario. And then some other things that I touched on was just having some kind of quick, ready-to-eat food in your bag. I showed a can of SpaghettiOs in the last one. I'm going to show this here today. I really like these Nature Valley bars, and there's a couple reasons I like them over like other bars, let's say, or maybe some other kind of pre-prepared foods. Like my protein bars that I have chocolate in them, right? So if that's in your backpack and it's in your car or whatever, you're just outside and it's really hot out, that chocolate's going to melt. It's going to be messy. I mean, you can still eat it. But the nice thing with these, yeah, they kind of skeet crumbs everywhere. But in my experience, they're not really affected by the heat or anything else. I would also recommend go more of this pre-made, pre-prepared food that all you have to do is open and eat versus something like Mountain House meals or anything like that. These Mountain House meals are great, but they need water. They're freeze dried. So this is just simple granola with milk and blueberries, and it's freeze dried here. But I believe you need to add okay, so this one here needs a half cup of water. So if you do have like this bottle, I guess has some measurements, you'd have to do some math and do some conversions there. But this is an option, but now you need a way to heat your water. And if you're on the move, sometimes you don't want to stop and heat your water up. You could pour cold water in this and eat it too, I guess. But in an emergency survival type of situation, or if you're just getting started, I would stay away from these. I would focus on using your water for drinking. And I would focus on ready-to-eat stuff like this, canned goods, beef jerky, things of that nature. I think you're going to get a way better bang for your buck. And then also, just a reminder, you can buy one of these cheap human gear sporks on Amazon or at any outdoor store. They're like $3 or $4. So, yeah. One other thing. Grab some dude wipes or some baby wipes. Throw them in your bag. Two big reasons for this. More than that. But if you got to go to the bathroom, you're going to want a way to clean up after yourself. Okay. Also, good way to avoid having to use your water to clean yourself, like your hands, your face, whatever. If you've got extra dude wipes, or these are the kind of single serving ones, you could get a big pack, whatever kind of floats your boat. And it doesn't have to be dude wipes either. These are just the ones I use and like. But especially if you're in a survival situation, sanitation is huge. Like if you look at like over the history of time throughout the globe, one of the primary killers of, whether it be soldiers in wars, people in natural disasters, whatever the case may be. Sanitation is huge. Huge. Tremendous. Believe it. Be clean. Sorry. But yes, I would definitely recommend carrying some sort of disposable wipes, like dude wipes, baby wipes, whatever, both for when you have to go to the bathroom, because you will, and also to kind of clean up your hands, your face, like I said. If you're going to prepare your food, or if you're going to rip this granola bar out and eat it, wipe your hands first with your dude wipe, and then go ahead and eat. And I guess thank me later. I don't know. But yeah, so I know I kind of sped things up there. I didn't want to have some hour-long video, especially because my first video was around 21 minutes. I try to keep videos in that 20 to 30-minute sweet spot. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Like I said, I figured I'd kind of do this video to expand upon my first bag video and give a wider variety of options for some people that are looking to, if all you're going to do is throw this stuff in a backpack and leave it in the corner of your house or in your vehicle and never use it, then sure, go with what I talked about in the first video. But if you plan on actually acquiring this stuff and then acquiring the skills that go along with it, and you're looking to invest in some more quality gear that will last you a long time, this is kind of my overview of recommendations on what I would be putting in a kit. I will be doing one more video kind of in this, I guess you could call it a series. And that video is going to be on my bag. So we'll do a dump on my bag at some point in the near future, probably within the next month or two. Like I said, I'd like to actually be outside, kind of get you guys some footage of me walking out through the woods with it, and we can dump it all out on the ground out there. But I am working on getting some better recording equipment to do that with. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me through all of the growing channel struggles, but I really appreciate you guys for watching the video, and especially you guys that come and watch my videos every time I drop a new one. I really, really appreciate that. This is a hobby for me, but it's a really cool feeling when you do a video and it takes off. It's really cool. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, leave your thoughts down below. And until next time, Dave Show, Dave, signing out.